Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. Andrew adjusted his blouse and checked his lipstick in the compact mirror one last time. Inhaling deeply, he stepped out of the Starbucks restroom, wobbling slightly in the pumps as he made his way to the ordering counter. "Hi, what can I get for you today?" the barista asked with a bright smile. Her name tag read Olivia. Andrew's heart skipped a beat. It was her, his crush ever since she started working here a few months ago. The whole reason he had concocted this crazy cross-dressing scheme. I'll have a grande iced caramel macchiato, please," Andrew said in his best feminine voice, which came out as more of a nervous squeak. He cringed inwardly. Olivia punched in the order. "Can I get a name for that?" Amanda?" he stammered. Shoot, he had almost slipped up and given his real name. "Okay, Amanda, that'll be $4.95. As Andrew fumbled with the clasp on his wristlet, a manicured hand reached past him and handed Olivia a $1.10 bill. "I've got hers," a melodious female voice said, "and I'll take a tall Americano." Andrew turned to see who his coffee benefactor was and found himself staring into the most stunning pair of green eyes he had ever seen. They belonged to a beautiful redhead in a chic burgundy blazer. She flashed him a megawatt smile. Thank you so much," Andrew managed to stutter out. "That's really nice of you." The woman waved a hand dismissively. "Please, my pleasure. We girls have to look out for each other, right?" She winked conspiratorially. Andrew laughed nervously, not quite knowing how to respond. Luckily, Olivia returned with their drinks at that moment. "Here you go, ladies. 1 iced caramel macchiato and 1 Americano." "Thanks a latte," the mystery woman quipped as she took her coffee. Andrew couldn't help but chuckle at the slick coffee pun, even as Olivia just rolled her eyes good-naturedly, clearly used to hearing them all the time. As they stepped away from the counter, the redhead turned to Andrew. "I'm Veronica, by the way." She held out a hand. "Amanda," Andrew said, shaking it and hoping his palm wasn't too sweaty. "It's nice to meet you." "You too. So tell me, Amanda, what's a pretty thing like you doing getting coffee all alone on a Saturday? No hot date lined up?" Veronica arched a sculpted eyebrow. Blood rushed to Andrew's cheeks, and he knew he was blushing furiously under the foundation. "Oh no, nothing like that. Just treating myself." He gestured vaguely with his cup. Veronica nodded. "Self-care is so important. I'm glad you're making time for yourself. Hey, I was going to grab a bite to eat. Maybe do some shopping after this. Want to join me? I could use the company, and you seem cool." Andrew blinked in surprise. He had zero plans after this coffee run, having accomplished his goal of interacting with Olivia, albeit very awkwardly and not at all according to fantasies. And now this random stranger, Veronica, was inviting him to hang out? He hesitated, considering. On one hand, prolonging this cross-dressing charade was probably unwise, and he was already eager to get out of these painful shoes. On the other hand, Veronica intrigued him. She was so warm and friendly and easy to talk to. Maybe a little female companionship would be fun, even if he was only playing pretend. "Sure, why not?" Andrew found himself saying. "I'd like that." Veronica beamed. "Awesome, let's hit the road then. I'm thinking ramen for lunch. How do you feel about noodles?" As Andrew followed her out of the Starbucks, carefully avoiding eye contact with Olivia, he marveled at the unexpected turn this day had taken. This crazy ploy to get close to his crush had led to spending time with someone else entirely. But he had a feeling it might turn out to be a good thing. The ramen place Veronica took them to was a cozy hole-in-the-wall Andrew had never noticed before, despite it being just a few blocks from his apartment. They slid into a booth and scanned the menu. "I've been dying to try their spicy miso," Veronica said. "I hear it's like a religious experience." Andrew typically avoided spicy foods for fear of sweating and turning an unattractive shade of red, but emboldened by his feminine disguise, he decided to branch out. "Sounds good to me. I'll try that too." "Adventurous. I like it." Veronica said approvingly. She flagged down their server and placed the order for them both. As they waited for the food, Veronica rested her chin on her hands and studied Andrew. "So, what's your story, Amanda? What do you do? What makes you tick?" Andrew froze. He had not thought this far ahead and mentally cursed himself for not creating a more solid backstory for his female alter ego. Time to improvise. "Oh, I'm just figuring things out," he said with what he hoped was a mysterious air. "Exploring different interests, keeping my options open." Veronica nodded. "I can respect that. Sometimes you have to try on a few different hats before you find the one that fits, Her eyes sparkled with some private amusement. Andrew laughed a little too loudly, relieved she had bought his vague non-answer. "Definitely. What about you? What's a day in the life of Veronica like?" "By day, I slay dragons in the corporate world," Veronica said, affecting an exaggerated haughty tone. "But by night, I shed my power suit and get lost in far-off fantasy lands." At Andrew's quizzical look, she grinned. "I'm an accountant and an avid Dungeons & Dragons player." "Oh, that's so cool," Andrew said sincerely. He had always wanted to try D&D, but never found a group. "You'll have to teach me how to play sometime." "For sure. I'm always looking to recruit more party members," Veronica said. "Fair warning, though, I'm a tough dungeon master. My campaigns take no prisoners." The mental image of Veronica wielding a 20-sided die like a tiny sword popped into Andrew's head, and he chuckled. "I would expect nothing less." Their ramen arrived then, 2 huge steaming bowls piled high with toppings. Andrew had to admit it looked and smelled incredible. Veronica dug in with gusto, swirling the noodles around her chopsticks. "Oh, hot damn, that's good," she declared after slurping down a mouthful. A bit of broth clung tantalizingly to her full bottom lip before her tongue darted out to lick it away. Andrew hastily busied himself with his own bowl to keep from staring. Carefully, he navigated a morsel to his mouth, mindful of the long blonde wig. The rich, spicy flavor exploded on his tongue and warmed him all the way down to his toes. "Wow, you weren't kidding about this being a religious experience," he marveled. The burn left behind was somehow both painful and pleasurable. Veronica smiled knowingly. There are all kinds of delicious sensations to explore if you're feeling bold. Some you might be surprised to find you enjoy. Was it Andrew's imagination, or did her tone hold a subtle, suggestive undercurrent? He snuck a glance at her, but she was innocently focused on fishing a slice of pork belly from her bowl. Flustered, he returned to his meal, and the conversation turned to lighter topics like favorite books and movies. Andrew found himself relaxing and genuinely enjoying Veronica's company. It was easy to get swept up in her magnetic energy. They lingered over their empty bowls, chatting and laughing until the server discreetly slid the check onto the table. Veronica snatched it up before Andrew could even reach for it. "Allow me," she said breezily as she tucked a credit card into the black folder. "Oh no, I can't let you pay again after you already treated me to coffee," Andrew protested. "At least let me cover the tip." Veronica waved away his offer. "Nonsense. You can make it up to me another time. Guess you'll just have to take me out next time, won't you, Amanda?" Her eyes positively smoldered as she held his gaze. A thrill shot through Andrew at the unspoken promise of a future meeting. "It's a date," he said, infusing as much flirtatious intent as he dared into the words. She smiled slow and sultry. "I look forward to it." The moment stretched taut between them until the server returned with the receipt, breaking the tension. Andrew exhaled as Veronica signed and they slid out of the booth to leave. Out on the sidewalk, Veronica turned to him. "Well, my dear, this has been an absolute delight, but I'm afraid I must be going. Prior engagement to prepare for tonight." "Oh, of course, don't let me keep you," Andrew said, trying to squash his disappointment. He wasn't ready for their time together to end. As if reading his mind, Veronica took his hands in hers. "I meant what I said, Amanda. I really do hope we can see each other again soon." Then she leaned in and pressed a soft, lingering kiss to his cheek. Her hair tickled his nose, bringing with it the scent of her perfume, something warm and spicy and exotic. With a final squeeze of his hands, she released him and stepped back. Until next time. She blew him a kiss and then disappeared into the crowd of pedestrians. Andrew stood frozen, one hand touching the spot her lips had grazed. Her lipstick had undoubtedly left a mark, but he didn't care. His mind reeled and his knees felt like jelly, aftershocks of electricity zipping through him. What had started as a crazy scheme to catch Olivia's notice had turned into something else entirely. A spark of real connection with someone who appreciated him just as he was, feminine trappings and all. Veronica clearly knew Amanda wasn't who he said he was, but it didn't seem to matter to her. If anything, his disguise intrigued and amused her. As Andrew navigated back to his apartment in a daze, all thoughts of pursuing Olivia had been pushed aside, replaced by visions of mischievous green eyes and imagined future adventures with his bold, beautiful new friend. Fumbling with his key, he let himself into his studio and collapsed onto the bed, not even bothering to take off his itchy, incomplete feminine ensemble yet. Several days had passed since Andrew's serendipitous meeting with Veronica, but he couldn't get the captivating redhead out of his thoughts. Her vibrant smile, quick wit, and easy acceptance of his alter ego, Amanda lingered in his mind like a persistent, pleasant aftertaste. He found himself daydreaming about her at odd moments, while brushing his teeth, waiting in line at the bank, zoning out during a work meeting. The memory of her lips grazing his cheek sent little shivers down his spine each time it replayed. Determined to see her again, Andrew decided to revisit the Starbucks where it had all began, hoping lightning might strike twice. He took extra care assembling his Amanda disguise this time, splurging on a new dress and even watching some YouTube makeup tutorials for a more polished look. Heart fluttering with nervous anticipation, he entered the coffee shop and scanned the room for a flash of telltale red hair. To his disappointment, Veronica was nowhere to be seen. He managed to stammer out his order to Olivia, barely registering her presence, and took his drink to a corner table to wait under the pretense of reading. An hour ticked by with no sign of Veronica. Andrew sighed and gathered up his things to leave, trying not to feel too crushed. It had been a long shot anyway. He tossed his empty cup and pushed out the door, and nearly collided with someone on the sidewalk. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." He started to apologize, then broke off as he registered who it was. "Veronica?" "Amanda!" Veronica exclaimed, her face lighting up with delight. "I was just heading in for my afternoon caffeine fix. You must be my good luck charm. I swear you have a knack for appearing right when I need a pick-me-up." Andrew practically glowed at that, buoyed by the idea that his presence perked her up in any way. "Well, since you bought last time, can I treat you today? Pay you back for the other day." Never mind that he'd already downed his drink. Any excuse to prolong their interaction. Veronica waved him off. "Oh, you don't owe me a thing, sweet pea. But—" She tapped a finger to her lips, considering. "How about this? I still need to hunt down a birthday gift for my sister. Think you could help a girl out with some shopping and gift selecting? I'll spring for a spa pedicure for us both after as a thank you." Andrew didn't even have to think about it. "Deal! I'd love to help, and I won't say no to a little foot pampering." The pumps he had stuffed his feet into today were already pinching something fierce. "Perfect! I know the best little spa place nearby." Veronica looped her arm through his, guiding him down the block. "Prepare to be silky smooth from the ankles down." As they strolled, Veronica filled him in on her sister's interests, the challenge of finding something unique and special for the woman who had everything. Andrew suggested some stores to check out, and they debated the merits of different gift ideas. The bass notes of her perfume wafted over him, something warm and spicy and exotic. He breathed it in, enjoying the headiness of being so close to her. They had a blast picking through cute boutiques and gift shops, giggling over kitschy items and cooing at locally made treasures. Veronica modeled sunglasses and held up scarves to Andrew for his opinion. He reveled in playing the part of attentive girlfriend, complimenting her choices and sneaking admiring glances. After much indecisive browsing, Veronica settled on an artisan jewelry set from a hip gallery shop. Delicate gold hoops and a matching bangle stamped with an empowering slogan. "Carly will flip for these," she declared as they left the store, bag swinging from her wrist. Andrew smiled, glad to have helped with the successful find. Veronica bumped her shoulder against his playfully. "Thanks for being my shopping buddy. You've got fabulous taste. And you're pretty good company, too," she added with a wink. "Anytime," Andrew replied, cheeks warming at the compliment. This was fun. "Well, then, let's keep the good times rolling, shall we? Onward to the spa," Veronica chirped as she set off with a purposeful stride. The salon was dim and hushed when they entered, scented with essential oils and faint spa music tinkling in the background. Veronica checked them in, and they were each led to plush reclining chairs for their pedicures. Andrew sighed with relief as he slipped off the pumps and sank his feet into the warm, bubbly water basin. "Ooh, yes, that's the stuff," he murmured, earning a chuckle from Veronica as she settled into her own chair. She flashed him an impish grin. "Prepare to ascend to another plane of relaxation, my dear," she said, wiggling her feet in anticipation. "The nail techs here are artists, and the massage jets feel like a million tiny angels kneading away your tension." That description proved apt, Andrew quickly realized, as the pedicure got underway and the skillful ministrations of his technician swiftly reduced him to a blissed-out puddle. He snuck a peek at Veronica and saw her head tipped back, eyes closed in utter contentment. "This is heavenly," he sighed without thinking. "I may never leave this chair." Veronica cracked open one eye and smirked at him. "I know, right? I told you this place was fantastic. But alas, as tempting as it is to live here forever, eventually we must return to the real world. Kick and scream though we may," she added with an exaggerated pout. Andrew huffed a laugh, marveling at how she always seemed to say exactly what he was thinking in an even more clever way. The conversation lulled as they both sank back into the pleasures of the spa treatment. All too soon, their toes were painted, a vivid coral for Veronica, a demure soft pink for Amanda, sealed with a glossy top coat, and it was time to go. They slipped their feet into the provided foam slippers and checked out, leaving generous tips for their nail techs on the way. Out on the sidewalk, Andrew turned to Veronica, not quite ready for their time together to end yet. "I had a really wonderful day with you. Again," he added shyly. "I'm so glad we ran into each other." "Me too, hun," Veronica said warmly, reaching out to clasp his hand. "You know, so I don't have to rely on happenstance to see your pretty face. Maybe we should exchange numbers?" Her eyes sparkled with invitation. Andrew's heart kicked up a notch. "Yes, I'd really like that." He fumbled in his bag for his phone and handed it over. Veronica typed in her contact info and then texted herself from it before giving it back. "There," she said cheerfully. "Now we can coordinate another shopping spa outing, or grab coffee or drink sometime. You know, when we need our fix of each other's fabulous company." Andrew beamed at her, already looking forward to their next meetup. "Definitely. I'm always down to hang with you." The uncharacteristic boldness of the statement surprised even him, but it was true. He couldn't get enough of Veronica's energizing presence. "Same, girl. You light me up." Veronica squeezed his hand, sending tingles racing up his arm before releasing him. "Well, I should jet before the shopping bags permanently fuse to my arms. Talk soon?" Her brow arched hopefully. "Of course," Andrew nodded eagerly. "I'll text you." "I'll be waiting by the phone," she returned with a playful grin. She blew him a kiss and turned to go, throwing one last cheery toodaloo over her shoulder. Andrew watched her disappear down the block, phone clutched to his chest, a smitten smile stretching his face. He couldn't believe how easily they had fallen into such a fun, flirtatious rapport. or how much he loved spending time with her. The warm, adventurous, sparky feeling Veronica ignited in him was addictive, and he could already feel himself craving the next hit. He glanced down at his phone, thumb hovering over her contact. Would it be too eager to text her already when they had just parted? He didn't want to come off as desperate or clingy. Shaking his head, he pocketed the device and started walking. Better play it a little cool. He would give it a day or two before reaching out. But he had a strong feeling this was just the beginning of something really special with Veronica. And next time they met up, maybe he would be brave enough to let a bit more of the real Andrew peek through the Amanda facade. She seemed to like him just as he was, and the thought both terrified and thrilled him. For now, though, he was content reliving their latest encounter and plotting how soon he could reasonably request to see her again without seeming overly eager. The phantom impression of her hand clasped in his tingled across his skin, and he smiled to himself. Who would have thought a simple coffee run in a dress would lead to this blossoming ... friendship ? Flirtation? He wasn't quite sure what to call it yet. What he did know was that meeting Veronica had been a delightful, unexpected gift, one he intended to cherish and explore further. He couldn't wait to see what other adventures and heart-fluttering moments lay ahead for Andrew and Amanda with their captivating new companion. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.